I suspect there are quite a few average people who'd be very interested to know what the president has been hiding in his tax returns, which, unlike every president in living memory, has refused to turn them over for public scrutiny. But even in a much more nuts and bolts way, the questions that are at stake here are about whether the president is answerable to the law, is answerable to anybody. I mean, this is a version of the issue that we recently saw in the impeachment proceedings, and the Supreme Court will be well aware of it as it hears these cases. That the issue here is whether Congress or cities or states or really anybody has the ability to discover potentially serious wrongdoing by the president and hold him accountable for it.
That's Joshua Mass, law professor, talking about one of the cases that will be argued before the Supreme Court. And as you heard, it's about the president and his tax returns and Congress. Chanley Painter has more.
What's at stake here is a pretty fundamental question about whether the president can be held accountable under the law during the president's time in office.
Should President Trump's accountant hand over his financial records to state prosecutors for criminal investigation? The U.S. Supreme Court will take up the question in one of the two cases this term, testing the limits of presidential immunity. One of those cases pits the president against New York District Attorney Cyrus Vance, whose office is investigating Trump and his associates. In 2019, Vance's office says it served grand jury subpoenas on several entities for records going back to 2011, unrelated to Trump's official acts as president. One went to the Trump Organization, seeking information about hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels and another alleged mistress. President Trump denies the extramarital affairs. Another subpoena went to the president's accounting firm, Mazars USA.
The president moved to quash the subpoena on the grounds that while he's in office, he is completely immune from any kind of criminal process at the state level.
A federal judge rejected the president's claims, so did the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Then, the Supreme Court granted Trump's request to hear the case.
The president argues that this is not just a case about him, but it's a case about the presidency.
He cites Article 2 and the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution, which prohibits states from interfering with the federal government's activities.
He worries that presidents will not be able to lead the country and serve the nation if they are vulnerable to criminal process in all 50 states across the nation.
Vance cites the Watergate scandal as precedent for serving subpoenas on presidents. And he points out that the subpoenas in this case involve third parties, not Trump himself.
According to the district attorney, what's at stake here is the principle that nobody is above the law. And if the president and those around them committed crimes, the idea that they would be completely immune from any kind of state subpoena seems crazy, particularly when the subpoena has nothing to do with their official acts, doesn't implicate any executive privilege, and has been served not on them, but on their accounting firm.
All right, really fascinating issue. It's the collision of politics and the law, and it'll happen in the Supreme Court. Chanley Painter back with us. Chanley, we look at this one, and the implications are obvious because you have his political opponents who have been investigating him in different places, including his former home state of New York, and they've been trying to get their hands on his tax returns for a long time now.
They have. And interesting about this case, you're right, this is a fascinating case that the Supreme Court will take up, and I can't wait to hear their ruling on this. But it's interesting to me because this is a state entity. This is all about the president saying that he's immune from these state investigations. And the heart of this is federalism, striking this balance between state and federal government. There's a history of, federal courts subpoena or civil suits for the president, but not of the state level. So that's what makes this even more fascinating. And it's a grand jury investigation at the state level. So even though those are highly sensitive and secretive, we don't know exactly why they want all of these records or what they're exactly investigating just yet. So that's interesting, too, as a part of these briefs, is they're arguing this, but we don't know a lot of details about what this criminal investigation is about.
Absolutely. It's again, fascinating issue, but very political in nature. And the Supreme Court does from time to time have to handle issues that are more political than legal to a certain extent. So, Chanley, again, this is all part of what we're going to experience for the very first time ever, right? And it's all going to be live on Court TV.
I'm so excited. Starting on Monday, yes, 10 a.m. Eastern, for the first time ever, live audio will be streamed. We will hear these arguments, oral arguments, for 10 Supreme Court cases, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, next week, and the following week. That is historic. Cameras aren't allowed in the Supreme Court. Unless you're there in person, you don't see this happen, and much less hear it happen same day, right? They don't release the audio usually ever same day. So live streaming, it's historic. We've done a lot of these Supreme Court pieces to prepare our viewers and us for the cases that the Supreme Court will be hearing over the next 2 weeks. And we're talking to experts from all over the world about these issues. And they are all so excited and can't wait to hear live oral arguments starting Monday.
Yeah, I'm excited, but I still look at it as a baby step. You know, we got to get cameras in the Supreme Court, and then we're totally transparent, which is what the Supreme Court should be. Just my opinion. Chanley Painter, thank you so much. Still ahead.